Well, the ANC in Limpopo is holding a special general council to discuss policy positions. That's ahead of the National Policy Conference scheduled for the end of this week. Pelane Phakgadi is our reporter on that story. He joins us shortly. We're also live for you in Mpumalanga this hour, where the province is holding its two-day provincial general council in Manzana, formerly known as Bat Plus. Let's begin with you, Mweli Masilela, in Mpumalanga for us, and you can give us an idea of where Mpumalanga stands as far as policy priorities this time round.
Yes, Miguel, I can tell you now that the Provincial General Council is currently underway, and at this point in time, as members of the media, we are not allowed inside. It's a closed session. I've seen quite a number of members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC who are going to make their input inside this venue here. Among them is David Matlobo, as well as Mamuloko Kupai. We've got Mam Gwen Aramokopa as well, going to make an input there, as well as Musabenz Zwane. Key on the discussions at Tambegila, I can tell you that is the issue of organizational renewal and ensuring that there's unity within the ANC, and also looking into other issues that are affecting the ANC in this province. We know that going to the Provincial Conference of the African National Congress here in Mpumalanga, there were some divisions, but at least after that conference there was a commitment to ensure that all lobby groups are now disbanded and all members work as one unit. But we haven't seen that happening as many leaders had expected, Tambegile, because we know that already in some municipalities, especially in Komazi, we had about 6 ANC councillors having to be expelled after not following the party line in as far as the election of a mayor there is concerned. So those are some of the issues that will be discussed. But earlier on, Tambegile, we spoke to the Deputy Secretary of the ANC in the province, saying that one of the issues that has been discussed, that is being discussed vigorously inside, is the issue of the step-aside guideline. They are saying that they are not happy in the manner in which the ANC is implementing that, and the manner in which the amendment of that guideline or policy was done, because according to Lindy Wenchalenchali, the Deputy Secretary of the ANC in the province, this is a resolution that was taken by the highest decision-making body of the ANC, which is the National Conference, and they don't understand why branches were not given that time to discuss that policy. Let's take a listen in terms of what she had to say earlier, Tambegile.
I think it will be proper that we give our branches that opportunity to engage and lobby each other. Then they will pronounce themselves. But there were some serious inputs on this matter, because how National Conference resolved on the matter and how it's implemented, really it's not what conference resolved on. And we are here to say there is nobody who can amend a national decision of conference. Even if you're an NSC, you cannot amend a national conference decision. So these branches are the very same branches that will go to national conference or national policy conference to say, this is how we resolve it, this is how we think it should be done, whether it should not be done. Let's allow the branches that space.
Let's go to Limpopo and talk about the ANC and policy at provincial level. Bring in Pelane Phakgadi. And Pelane, in Limpopo where you are, is there a clear position as far as what Limpopo wants to see decided or focused on when they gather for the National Policy Conference this coming weekend?
The Provincial Chairperson Stan Mathabatha earlier on was giving his opening remarks here at the Provincial General Council. It's a special one, and he said that the renewal and unity of the party is very much sacrosanct and need to be prioritized at this particular conference. And they do believe that with the policy positions of the ANC in its current form, they should be able to go back and ensure that all the things that the African National Congress used to achieve as far as their conferences is concerned, including that of unity back in the history of it, it should be able to emerge from the coming current conference as one that is unified. So unity and as well as issues pertaining to the operations of the African National Congress should be prioritized. But I can tell you that there will be a robust discussion as far as the issue around step aside is concerned. Let me bring him in, the chairperson of the African National Congress here in Limpopo, Stan Mathabatha. Earlier on you said, well, it could be very well be that you will be discussing issues around step aside, but the branches, it's not a hidden secret that a lot of them have been discussing around the step aside issue. They want it to be reviewed and either reverted to its original form or reviewed completely, so that those who are charged, some of them, could be able to stand for positions of power until at least they are convicted, and only then should they step aside. Is that something that you do know that will be discussed inside?
Yes, definitely. Step aside resolution is a resolution of conference of the African National Congress. So as part of the policy making process, we are bound to discuss issues such as that one. Remember what we said even in the NEC about the step aside resolution, that we are sort of repairing the aircraft whilst it is in motion. So there will definitely be reasons for review time and again, or periodically. So definitely this General Council is also going to discuss that.
Talking now about a policy in itself, repairing an aircraft as it moves, I'm sure that it has been a thorny issue. You've had your deputy chairperson in the previous administration, and as well as the treasurer, to step aside for a very long time, and the deputy chairperson eventually did come back, but the treasurer couldn't. You said that has been a difficult exercise. Is that something that you want the delegates here to discuss on, so that they can finally find something that you can go and motivate for at the policy conference?
Look, we need to make a very strong input at the policy conference, because like you correctly had said, we have gone through this experience as a province, where you've got two of your most senior officials having been forced to step aside for different types of resolutions, in the NEC. At some stage it was those who are alleged, we have allegations against them, and then after about 2 years, when our members, our leaders were required to step aside, that resolution was then changed to those who are charged. So therefore, that says to you that as members on the ground, we will definitely have some irritations about the resolutions or the way in which the resolution is being implemented. So we're definitely going to make a very strong input in the National Police Conference in the coming 3 days as a province.
To be clear, you want it reviewed. That is a strong policy influence that you want to use as the second biggest province of the African National Congress?
This is a resolution of the National Conference. And definitely you can't have a resolution of the National Conference reviewed. We want it to be refined, in such a way that it doesn't have loopholes here and there. We want to close those loopholes and tighten it, so that when we go to conference in December, the conference must take a decision that can never be questionable.
As we round up, 2 things that you believe that they should come out from your special PGC here as part of the motivation towards the policy conference that you want them to be prioritized?
Well, the issue of unity, the issue of coming up with a strategic view on our refocusing of our economy. I think that is going to be very critical, because we are a rural province, so unemployment here is very high. So for us to be successful as a liberation movement, we need to come up with a polished economic strategy, a development strategy, a local economic development strategy, provincial development strategy, and nationally, so that we can, at the end of the day, make a sufficient input to the gross domestic product of the country.
Stan Mathabatha, thank you very much. He's the chairperson of the African National Congress here in Limpopo, saying that there is a definite need to refine, he says, that's the word that he used, to refine the step-aside resolution as its current form, because you do know that it was refined and rectified quite a lot from only just allegations at the time when you needed to step aside. Here in Limpopo, the NMCs as the treasurer and as well as Florence Radzilani as the deputy chairperson needed to step aside, and they did step aside on the basis of allegations only, and then 2 years later, when it was ratified to charges, Florence Razilani did come back in as the deputy chairperson, but the treasurer at the time, David Caesar, could not come back in because he was now formally charged and facing corruption charges as far as the issue of BBS is concerned. So here in Limpopo, the special PGC, definitely top of the agenda is the issue around the step-aside resolution.
Pelane Phakgadi, live for us in Limpopo, Mweli Masilela, in Mpumalanga, both in reporting on how those provinces, at least as far as ANC members are concerned, are fleshing out their positions on policy ahead of the National Policy Conference later this week.